Hi guys. Okay, today let's go on with our story about Canterville's ghost. Danas nastavljamo sa pričom o duhu iz Cantervilla.
Episode 4. A terrible shock. When Mr. Otis closed his bedroom door, the Canterville ghost stood still for a minute. He was shocked. He could not believe his eyes or his ears. He picked up a bottle of oil and threw it onto the floor. He ran down the hall, making a terrible sound. However, as he got near the top of the stairs, a door opened and two little boys appeared. They laughed and whispered to each other. Suddenly, they threw a large pillow at the ghost's head.
"Take that, you silly ghost!"
shouted the twins. The ghost disappeared from the hall in a flash of green light. The house became quiet, and the twins went back to bed. The ghost found a quiet room in the house and stopped to think. He was very upset and felt terribly insulted. How could these people be so rude to him? Why weren't they afraid of him? The ghost was more than 300 years old. He was terrible to look at, and he frightened everyone who saw him. The ghost thought of the Dowager Duchess, who became ill after he put his hands on her shoulders. He thought of the 4 servants, who went mad when he smiled at them in one of the bedrooms. Then he thought of the Reverend Augustus Dampier, who needed a doctor after he blew out his candle in the hall one night. Also, there was old Madame de Tremouillac, who was ill in bed for 6 weeks after she saw him sitting in her armchair reading her diary. He remembered all the people who had seen him at Canterville Chase and how frightened he had made them. He felt very proud. He was the Canterville ghost. He was famous all over the country. No one wanted to see him or to be in the house he haunted. And now, some foolish Americans were here. They gave him oil for his chains and threw pillows at his head.
"This is terrible,"
thought the ghost.
"People should not treat ghosts in this way. They should shake and scream. They should run and hide. They should leave Canterville Chase and never come back."
The ghost decided that it was time to teach the Otis family a lesson. He wanted revenge, and he wanted to make them afraid. For the rest of the night, the ghost thought and planned until he had the perfect idea for revenge.
Okay, this is episode 4 and we have a song for episode 4.
A ghost should be well respected. People should run in fear. People should shake and shiver whenever a ghost comes near. Why can't they just respect me? I'm terrible and I'm bad. They tease me when they should fear me. It makes me so very sad. A ghost should be free to frighten, to rattle and moan and sigh. People should fear my hauntings Children should scream and cry. Why can't they just respect me? I'm terrible and I'm bad. They tease me when they should fear me. It makes me so very sad.
Okay, let's go on with episode 4, 5, idemo dalje s epizodom 5.
Episode 5. A plan goes wrong. The next morning, when the Otis family met at breakfast, they talked about the ghost.
I do not want to upset the ghost,
said Mr. Otis.
After all, this was his house a long time ago. I don't think it is polite to throw pillows at him.
He looked at the twins and they started to laugh.
However,
said Mr. Otis,
the ghost's chains make too much noise, and I cannot sleep. He doesn't want to oil them, so I think we must take the chains away from him.
For the rest of the week, however, they did not hear the ghost. They knew he was there because the bloodstain on the library floor changed every day. Sometimes it was dark red, and at other times it was purple. One morning, it was bright green. The family thought that these changes were funny and tried to guess what colour the stain was before they came downstairs each morning. The only person who did not enjoy the joke was Virginia. She was always very upset when she saw the stain, and nearly cried on the morning when it was bright green. The ghost finally appeared again on Sunday night. Soon after the family went to bed, the ghost tried to put on a suit of armour which stood in the hall. However, the armour was very heavy, and it fell to the floor. The family heard a terrible crash. Mr. Otis and the twins ran downstairs. They saw the Canterville ghost sitting on a chair. The ghost rubbed his knees and looked very unhappy. The twins started to shoot pellets at the ghost, and Mr. Otis tried to hold them back.
What are you doing, sir?
He shouted at the ghost. The ghost was angry. He made a terrible noise, then ran to the top of the stairs and laughed a terrible ghostly laugh. Just then, Mrs. Otis came out of her bedroom with a small bottle.
You sound ill,
she said.
Please, take this bottle of Dr. Dobell's medicine. It's just what you need.
The ghost stared at her angrily. He tried to change into a dog, but at that moment he heard footsteps and saw the twins coming towards him. He made a strange sound and disappeared.
Okay. Episode 6.
Episode 6. The Otis Ghost. The ghost was very upset. He stayed in his quiet room and did not come out at all, except to make a new bloodstain in the library each night. However, after a few days he felt better, and decided to try to frighten the Otis family again. That night, there was a terrible storm. The wind shook the doors and windows of the old house. The ghost was happy. He heard the family go to bed, and he waited until the house was dark and quiet. Then, at midnight, he wrapped himself in a sheet. He went up the stairs and walked along the hall. He decided to scare Washington first, because he was angry with Washington for cleaning up the bloodstain. The ghost waited at the corner of the hall outside Washington's bedroom. When he heard the clock strike 1/4 midnight, he smiled and turned the corner. Suddenly he screamed and covered his face with his hands. There was another ghost in the hall. Its head was bald, and its face was round, fat, and white. It smiled a horrible smile, and a red light shone from its eyes. There was a sign on its chest, but the Canterville ghost was too frightened to read it. He ran back to his room, falling over his own sheet as he raced down the hall. When he got to his room, he jumped into bed and covered his face with the covers. But after a while, he felt brave again. He decided to go and talk to the other ghost as soon as morning came.
After all,
He thought,
2 ghosts are better than 1. We can frighten the family together.
when the sun came up, the ghost went back to the hall outside Washington's bedroom. The ghost was there, but now it looked different. There was no red light in its eyes, and it did not look very frightening at all. The Canterville ghost touched the other ghost, and its head fell off. He saw that it wasn't a ghost at all. It was just a kitchen brush, a sheet, and a large turnip with a candle in it. He picked up the sign and read it. The sign said, "The Otis Ghost, the only true ghost." The Canterville ghost was very angry.
Those foolish Americans tricked me.
He thought,
How can I make them sorry for this?
And now the episode 6, episode 7.
Episode 7. The Twins' Tricks. The Otis family made the ghost upset and nervous. He stayed in his room and he jumped every time he heard a noise.
I have to appear in the hall at night.
He thought,
I have to make strange and terrible noises. I am a ghost, and it's my duty. I must do it.
Sir Simon was an evil man when he was alive, but now he was dead. His ghost wanted to do his job properly. Every Saturday, he walked in the hall from midnight until 3 o'clock, but he tried not to let the family see or hear him. He took off his shoes and even took a bottle of Tammany Rising Sun lubricator from Mr. Otis's bedroom and oiled his chains. However, the family knew that he was there, and the twins played terrible tricks on him. One night, they tied a piece of string to the furniture on each side of the hall. The ghost tripped over the string in the dark and fell over. On another night, the twins put some butter at the top of the stairs. The ghost slipped on the butter and fell all the way down to the bottom of the stairs. This made the ghost very angry, so he decided to frighten the twins. The next night, he wore different clothes. He took off his head and left it in his room. Then he went to the twins' bedroom. The door was not quite closed. The ghost pushed the door hard, and a large bucket of water fell from the top of the door and splashed all over him. The ghost was very wet and very unhappy, but the twins laughed and laughed. The ghost went back to his room and stayed in bed with a cold for the next 2 days.
At least I didn't take my head with me,
He thought.
so I'm not wet all over.
The ghost did not try to frighten the Otis family again. He still appeared in the hall once a week, and the twins still played tricks on him. Sometimes they put nutshells on the floor of the hall to hurt his feet. Once they hid in the hall, jumped out at him, and shouted, "Boom!" But after a while, they did not see the ghost anymore, so the family decided that the ghost was gone forever. The Otis family were wrong. The ghost was still in the house, but he was so frightened of the twins that he became quite ill. He spent most of his time in his room and often stayed in bed.
I imamo još odraditi pjesmicu za 7. epizodu.
Those nasty twins are after me. It's just not fair, why can't they see? I'm big and bad, I'm mean and cruel, but they just treat me like a fool. Enough is enough, I can't work here. They only laugh, they feel no fear. What can I do if I can't scare? Why don't these people seem to care? Before they came I had it made. The Cantervilles were so afraid, but now these people laugh at me. I'm just as sad as I can be. Enough is enough, I can't work here. They only laugh, they feel no fear. What can I do if I can't scare? Why don't these people seem to care?
Okay, guys, that's it for today. We have 3 more episodes and that will be it. Imamo još 3 epizode I to će biti to u redu. Bye!